If it does, if it goes to solid, you haven't hurt anything. Just heat it back up. There's lots of 5 there. Get it back up, with some warm chocolate, up to 88 or so, and you'll have nothing but 5 left, which is tempered chocolate. So I probably should have grabbed a second spatula here, but I didn't. So let that sit for just a second. I'm going to give our warm chocolate a stir and see where it is sitting. That is almost perfect. It is cooled off. It's pretty cool in this room. So it's 95 degrees, just about perfect. Enough that I'm going to go ahead, pull it out. I'm going to wipe. Do not forget it. Keep some paper towels handy. Just get used to that every time. So you don't have to think about it afterwards. There you go. And I skewed over here because I saw some water here. I want it on a dry spot. Okay. So we're coming up to, that's at the right warm temperature. I'm going to come back at this. And that, you can see that, I think. It's actually kind of plopping off now. Let's see if I can get that again. There, you can see some of the very specific, or you can see it's thickening. There you go, it's clumping. That's what we're looking for. There's lots of 5 now, tons of it. There's also 4 and 3, not a big deal. Oh, there, and it's even starting to stick. We don't want to take that any further. It's just, and again, you won't ruin it. It just becomes difficult to work with. So you've got 2 options here. You can either put it in the warm water bath, or what we had here was the whole reason, is I'm going to start adding this back. Again, dry bowl. And what I'm doing is I'm going to add a little back, and just a little at a time. I'm going to mix that up, and I'm doing just a little bit so that it's easy to work with. That's all, no other reason. Again, I want to take the mystery out of this for you. So again, sitting in this bowl, we have type 5, 4, and 3. There, that's starting to thin out. I'm just going to keep an eye on the temperature and just so I can report back to you is actually why I'm doing that. Do some more. And what I'm trying to do, the reason I'm adding the hot chocolate, warm chocolate, to the cold chocolate, if I were to pour this into here, and this happened to be too warm, and say we went to 92 degrees, that's just too warm for a milk chocolate, and we would lose those type 5s. They would melt. So we don't want to do that. We're taking baby steps up. Okay. Okay, so what we are actually up at 82 degrees. At this point, those type 3 are gone. They've melted. They're gone. So we've now eliminated one of those. As we raise it up again, the type 4 is going to go away. There we go. So this is a perfect point. We're at about 92 degrees. If I add all of this to this simply can't get too hot. There's too much mass, and this is cool enough. So I can very safely add it all back in. Just like that. And I should say I really like bowl tempering over, my personal preference, over table, just because it doesn't make such a mess. I like water baths because I was so many years in a laboratory, and they're good insulators. And so that's just what I like. So the other thing here is sort of like folding in egg whites. You don't want to whisk this stuff. Again, it won't hurt anything. You don't want air bubbles. So I'm doing a nice simple stir. Okay, we're going to do one final check. Okay, so again, it's pretty cool in this room. We're about 85 degrees. So I actually want this a little bit warmer, which is why I've got my hot water bath. I'm just going to set that in nice and gentle. I'd already pre-checked my level. And I'm going to scrape real gently until this gets up to about 87 degrees. Again, milk chocolates. Actually, milk chocolates are a really great way to start your tempering. contrary, okay, let me restart that over. A lot of people think of chocolate having two forms. It's either tempered or it's bloomed. But there's actually a third state it can have. Just like numbers. You can have +1, that's tempered chocolate. You can have -1, that's bloomed chocolate. But there's something in the center there, there's 0. It's neither of those. It's not positive, it's not negative. And you can simply have untempered chocolate that's not bloomed. And you can get that if you have other fats in your chocolate. And in this particular case, we have milk fat, we have butter. It helps inhibit all crystallization. It preferentially inhibits 4, 3, and 2 more than 5. What that means is even if you miss your temper, say you accidentally get too hot and melt too much 5, it may not bloom because the milk fat's going to help keep it, but it won't have a really heavy snap either. And that also actually explains the same reason that milk chocolate doesn't have that really tight snap, even when tempered, that dark chocolate has. Just that. It's because the milk fat is inhibiting some of that crystal formation. And so what you get is just a softer chocolate bar. But again, it's a good one to practice with. It's sort of like you've got training wheels. You can be a little off on your temperatures, be pretty well on, but you've got some leeway, and it sort of takes some of the stress off. There we go. All right, we're up to temperature. So again, I'm going to pull that out. This time I don't care where to set it down because it is wet. I'm going to get that out of there. Get that all dry. And the reason being is I'm going to pour this directly, at least some of this, directly into the mold. And then we're going to talk also about molding up, how that can affect your temper. And I will show you, likewise, what that means. Because again, we are crystallizing. Classic crystals don't like to be disturbed. You know, and this isn't, we're not setting up yet, so that's why you're allowed to stir that some. So we're going to start with one here. And all I'm going to do, again, it's all dry. I haven't dropped it in there. And I'm just going to sit here, pour it in, move to the next one, nice and even, and do it again. There we go. I'm doing it this way as opposed to spreading it out because at this point, chocolate doesn't like to be physically assaulted. That may be a good term. Don't assault your chocolate. You can wrap it, you can tap it, but you don't actually physically assault it. The reason being is basically what will happen is you will break some of the crystal structure on the top. And without a crystal structure, without 5, it will crystallize however it needs to. If it's cool and it doesn't have a structure, just like in this bowl when we were bringing it down, it's going to form 5, 4, and 3. Do the same thing. The result is your bar will bloom. So don't touch. And I'm wrapping it now to get the air bubbles out. Raise them up, the few that are in there. I have a couple small pieces that I've overlaid. Let them be, you know. So if you really do need to swipe them, do it one time. Don't try. And what I mean by swipe, I'll show you in a second, is clear off the chocolate off the mold. You've poured too much. So I'm going to purposefully overfill these and need to get rid of some of it. So here we go. I'm going to, like I said, very purposefully getting thick here. I'm pouring heavy. And I'm still going to wrap to make it even out. But I got pools of chocolate up here now. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to be meticulous and make sure that has no water. Come back, one swipe. Don't disturb it any more than you have to. Right into the bowl. And don't touch that again. You can wrap it. You can do this. Basically, there was so much chocolate there, I wasn't scraping. I wasn't causing major shear. I was just pulling some off. There we go. If you sit there and do this, and scrape and scrape and scrape, you're going to get lines of bloom. And it may propagate all the way through. It's going to have type 4, and it's a valid form if it now has a reason to go. So anyway, those are going to set up. We'll unmold them in a little bit and show you how they look. All right, thanks for watching.